Hi guys, you're welcome to my channel. Alright, now for the purpose of those of us who didn't watch our previous exercise, let me just recap what we are doing on this particular class. Now we are going to build this particular box called our workstation. This is your automation practice kit. When you come into automation, whenever you register into automation class, when you go to the training center, you will see something like this. You will see the works kit already built for you. Okay, work kit such as this. Let me show you this. Okay, now you see this as your work kit. This your work kit. Let me take away this. Let me bring it down. Okay, you see this as your work kit. This is where you practice your coding. You write a program. You now download your program from your system, your software to your PLC. This is PLC. Okay. Now after that, you are now going to practice the operation sequence of this particular work kit by pressing this button and energizing and de-energizing the load. All right. So this particular work kit represent your field devices, your field equipment. Okay. After writing your PLC code, you are going to download it to your PLC, to your system. Okay. So when you download to PLC from your laptop, now, the field instrument will be installed or situated in a considerable distance from your control room because your PLC and your HMI and the other associated devices will be installed in the control room for monitoring purpose. Meanwhile, the field devices and equipment will be at a considerable distance from your control room. Now, for you to understand what is going on in the field, that is the essence of bringing this kit so that you practice this. Although we used to interface a control panel with your control room. That is, control room is where you monitor the activities of your PLC operation. Then they used to have a central control panel that your PLC will communicate to. And that particular control panel will finally deliver the instruction from PLC to the field instrument. So that particular central control panel is what this one represents. Okay, so this one represents your panel that will communicate to your field instrument through PLC instruction. So whenever you register for automation, you're going to carry out your coding and practice your operation sequence with this your workstation. So this is your workstation. But I'm also proposing for you to design your own workstation. You know, aside from the one you have with your trainer and your instructor, you should have your own workstation so that whenever you buy PLC, you will not find it difficult to link up your workstation with your own PLC. You know, and due to fragile nature of PLC, most students find it difficult to carry out connection exercise between PLC and the field instrument. They will be scared if they will blow up the PLC or do this and that. But I always advise them to be confident and be bold while carrying out your connection exercise because PLC is an intelligent device. Everything about PLC is partitioned. The input module has a card for input card. The output module has a card for output card. So if you blow up output card, the input card will not be tampered. So everything is segmented and they have safety associated to all the cards, you know. So all I urge you to come through is to make sure that you have what we call electrical craft principle knowledge. Electrical craft principle will enable you to know difference between positive and negative, difference between life and neutral. The connectivity and safety associated to that particular skill is what you have to understand first before coming into automation industry. you know and the one thing about automation space is that automation space is a space where your skill and your knowledge will be left with you to carry out. It's not all about copy and paste. Copy and paste is not part of automation. Automation is you have to be creative, you have to be knowledgeable, you have to be skillful enough before coming into automation. Because automation, you have to design your program yourself. After designing it, you now come to write the program. When you hear automation, what I normally advise people, this is also a drawing. What I normally advise people is that automation is an automatic system. It's also a automated system. So you must have to first of all know how to design your work process. Then you now come to automation to write program to drive it through PLC. All right. So let's now design our work skid. Let's go there. Let's go there. Okay. Now let's minimize this and go back to our work skid. Okay. Okay. We have this. So doing this particular one, I know this one will look a kind of complex to you, but I'm going to pass you through. I want to walk you through how you understand this very quickly. Let me use one narrative for you to understand it. Let me bring up a narrative. Now I have a load. I have three lamp here. I represent them as my load I want to control. Now these are the switches I want to use to control this load. Now what do I need? I need supply to activate here and for me to have output here. So let's do that now. This is my supply and I pass them on to my switches. Now, how do I control this? I also provide my supply here. This supply should be positive, negative, or live and neutral. If I have them this way, how do I put on my load? Is by linking them this way. Linking them this way. Okay, now how do I activate this load? Is by pushing this button, activate this button. Once I activate this button, I have this output on. Okay, let's do that. Let's see if we can simulate. I push my button here and this one come up. I push it here, it come up. Okay, this is a momentary switch. Now, if I want to light up this one, I push this one too. Okay, this is how to get this output. Then I push this one again. This one is not coming up. There is an issue. Let's troubleshoot and find out why. Take away maybe a wrong connection. Software is this software is so intelligent that if you miss your connection, you're not going to have a simulation done. So let's do that again. Okay, it's up now. So that was a wrong connection there. All right. Now this is what PSC does to your field instrument. Take away this. Take away. Sorry. Now take away the whole of this connection. Take away this connection. Remember, I showed you difference between syncing and sourcing the previous exercise. So I'm going to repeat it here now. But before then, let's just illustrate the work of PSC to this. Now, I just take away this. How do I put on this? Is by linking what I just did. Now, PSC will do that for me when I press here. So in that case, I will not connect anything to this place. I will leave it to PSC to carry out. So in that case, I'll provide this. I will do something like this. I will I will form this to be my PSC. Okay, let this be my PSC. So if that is my PSC, this connection I did before to the lamp, let me get the connection halfway and also get this one's halfway. How do I link that up? Is through PSC. But I'll now have to create a tag here in which I link to my PSC. So this I0.0, I0.1, I'll tag them here. Okay, so this is three input I have and this is three output I have. So let's see if we can replace this to NO, NC rather. Let me allow this one to be normally closed so that it can be my stop button. Okay, S2. Now remember I linked this with cable before, but now I want PLC to do the linkage for me. So what I will do, I will leave them open and now terminate this to my PSC, terminate this to my PSC, terminate this to my PSC. Having finished, having gone through the program, written program, I want to link up my program with my field instrument. So this is my field device. So I will link, PSC will link up here and here for me. Link up here and here. So here is going to be my input device. Here going to be my I0.0. So this is my start button. Okay. Then this other one is going to be I0.2, I0.3, and so on. So these are my output Q0.1, Q0.0, Q0.1, and so on. So your input bit will be terminated here, your output bit will be terminated here. Okay, so this is your PLC. So this is how you box your workstation. So this is your workstation. All right. So this is your output bit, this is your input bit. So this format that I just created here is how you do your connection. So this is what I have. What I just illustrated here is what I have here. So these are my input bit, these are my output bit. So how do I light up this? Is by writing program and activating this button, and I have this one powered the same way. So I use this one, start button, stop button, and this is sensor. I represent this as my sensors. You know, sensor, they are all input devices as well. So I use this one for sensors, and use this one for start and stop, and these are my load. Okay, if you understand that now, take away this, then let us now understand the connection in 3D. So take away this, then bring 3D. Let's go for 3D. Let me minimize this, then we'll go to look for our 3D. Okay, let's open another drawing that will give us 3D. Okay, just hold on. My trainer 3D. Now I open it. Look at it. This is how you do your connection and box it. The whole of that input I showed you here, the whole of this that I showed you, I want to show you this in 3D. So the 3D of this presentation is what I will show you now. Minimize this. This is a 3D. All right. So this pilot lamp will represent my output devices coming from my output module. Okay, like this one. The whole of this will represent my field instrument and my field devices. So look at them here. This is my Q0.0 T Q0.5. Then my input is this I0.0 T I0.5. So these are my input and these are my output. So what you need to do is to do this connection and box them, enclose them in a box, and provide the output, the input, the pluggable outlet. These are pluggable outlet for my output, and these are for my input. So this portion, I will link them up from here to my PLC. Then this portion too, I will link them up from here to my PLC. So this is how to design your workstation. Okay, you must have your workstation set aside before you practice your automation effectively. Because if you don't do this, when you are out from your training center, you will be able to carry out this practice connection exercise from your PLC to your field instrument. Okay, you should also practice sensors like I advised the previous exercise. Practice how to connect your sensors. Google sensor data sheet so that you know how to activate your sensor and energize your sensors as well. Okay, so now let me show you more again. So this is your 3D how to. Now let's understand the input. Okay. Now I teach us the sourcing connection and the syncing connection. Now I designed this such that whichever practice connection method that you find in your PLC is going to be compatible to my workstation, because here is my supply. Then if I activate this other side, okay, let me simulate another one. Just hold on. I take off this. Okay, now let me simulate this. Now this is my supply. If I activate this, I'm going to change from syncing connection to sourcing connection. Now this is my positive. I open my positive and I take here, I will take over negative. Let me go back again. Take a look at this connection. This is my DC supply. This side is my positive, passing here and give the whole of my input. So in this case, I'm using syncing connection method because my positive feed the whole of my input. Then my negative feed the whole of my output. So this is syncing method connection. If I want to change it to sourcing method, sourcing connection, in that case, negative will feed my input, while positive feed my output. So how do I do that? Is by interchanging, selecting this. Let me walk you through the default setting first. This is my positive coming through this switch to feed my input bit. Then this is my negative pass through this switch to feed my output. Now, if I want negative to feed my switch, I'm going to knock off, I'm going to press this switch to create open circuit here, while this one will close. Once this one open, this one will close. Once I activate this switch, here will create open circuit, here will close. Both of them will change state. If this one closes, I'm working with negative. Look at my negative. I'm working with negative passing through here and feed negative here. And this one too will open, here will close. So in that case, once here closes, I'm working with positive coming through this direction to feed here. So let's do that now. I activate here now, here will open, here will close. Once here closes, I'm working with negative with my input. So that is sourcing. Here too will open, here will close. I'm working with positive through here to this other side, to my output module. Okay, so that is how to interchange syncing method and sourcing method. So you're going to do this with your workstation so that whenever you go to your PLC, to any PLC, you will interchange sourcing and syncing with your workstation. So whichever one that is applicable to your PLC, you just interchange that switch, activate the switch to switch from syncing or to switch from sourcing. Okay, so your workstation should be compatible to syncing connection and sourcing connection. So this is how to create your own workstation. And I want you to also understand that during your training, whenever I write a code and download, okay, let me see if I can. Okay, whenever I write a code, let me use this one to illustrate this. Whenever you finish writing your program and download your program to PLC, also carry out the connection to your workstation, and you want to practice the operation sequence through your workstation by pressing this button and seeing your output. Okay, whenever you do that, you are expected to carry out this other connection here. All right, now when you come to your training center, you have this as your workstation to do, to practice. Sorry, look at it here. Yes, you write your program here and download your program to PLC and practice the operation sequence within this place. But in your workstation, we have this workstation. After writing your program, you download to PLC. You now start plugging your connections, this connection, these other ones. Carry out this connection, plug them to your input plug, and plug your output to your respective corresponding output socket. When you are done with that, you're expected to simulate by using this workstation. And when you are done with that, as you displug your communication adapter from your computer, let me show you this. I want to show you communication adapter. Okay. After using your communication adapter to download from here to your works kit, as you disconnect your communication adapter, this workstation will still be working. Having disconnected your communication adapter from your system to your PLC, the workstation will still be having the connection from your system to your input bit. So once you operate here, the system will come up. All right. So it's advisable to have your workstation such as this, so that after practice, each practice, you can also continue to change your input bit and your output bit. All right. Okay, so this is how to understand your workstation, and you create your workstation, um, and continue using them to practice. All right. So this is what I have for you now. What I need you to do is to understand the operation sequence of this your workstation. Just buy your um, respective start and stop buttons and carry out this connection, and also buy your pilot lamp and use them to represent your field instrument. So carry out this connection and enclose them in a box and provide the outlet plugins and the inlet plugins. This is your input and this is your plugins or your tagging to communicate with your PLC. This other side is also your tag from your PLC to your output module. Okay. All right. So this is how you design your workstation. Okay. So our next exercise is to also simulate your PLC. Let me see if I can get my PLC here. Let me get a PLC. Let me get a small PLC and use them to illustrate. Okay. Now this is my PLC. Now this output bit is where you terminate the whole of this. This one is having four. 1, 2, 3, 4 output bit. So you're having 1, 2, 3, 4. So this 4 will be terminated here. Now, this input now is where you terminate the whole of this. It's quite simple. It's quite simple. So your PLC, your workstation that you enclose for your practice exercise, you link them up to this place. You terminate this with this, and also terminate this with this. You start practicing with your workstation. Okay. All right. Thank you.